Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Retro Wrestling Review Series, Season 5, Episode 7. And this is finally it. I'm not done with the season, but I'm finally done reviewing all the Elimination Chamber pay-per-views. I didn't think it'd take this long. I just got really busy with schoolwork and stuff like that. And the Elimination Chamber's tonight, and I still gotta watch Raw and SmackDown before then, so I probably won't end up doing so, but it can't hurt to try. But yeah, this is the last Elimination Chamber in the series. I'm going to now be covering Elimination Chamber 2015, which is going to be interesting because I remember really liking this show at the time when I watched it. So I'm going to see if I actually still do. And I'm going to make the video the same way I always do. So let me just kind of run through the card. So we have a kickoff. I don't remember what the match or segment was on there. I apologize. And this was the first Elimination Chamber too, post WWE Network, so that was interesting. And what was interesting about this show was this was the first. They kind of threw it out last minute because we were supposed to have Money in the Bank after Payback that year, but they decided to throw in out Elimination Chamber and then Money in the Bank, and then Battleground. So it was a really weird thing because they were trying to sell the network at this time. It wasn't selling very well, and it wasn't selling very well, and then eventually it just kind of I think it's doing fine now, but so they were just trying to throw out show after show, but anyhow, yeah, and it was really weird because this Elimination Chamber, watching the show at the time, because it wasn't, usually they have the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view happen before WrestleMania season, so it was kind of weird watching it when it wasn't WrestleMania season, so I thought it was weird in that aspect, because I always liked watching it before WrestleMania season, because it's the last chance for people to main event WrestleMania and everything. But anyhow, let's start off with let me kind of run through the code a little bit. So we have, like I said, the kickoff. I don't remember what's on it, but I am going to check it out. We have the main show with the matches. We have 2 Elimination Chamber matches, a champion versus champion match, a Divas Championship match, and I think a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. And I think those are the only matches on this show. And I think there's a singles match on this show as well. Wasn't really a lot of matches, but whatever. It actually once I actually go through the card, it actually looks like a pretty enjoyable show. So now that I've kind of talked about it, let me start reviewing Elimination Chamber 2015. Okay, so we had the kickoff. We had Renee Young, Booker T, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton on the panel for it. I thought they did a pretty good job on the panel. This was when Byron Saxton was still kind of goofy, which he still kind of is, but he was a lot more goofier then. Corey Graves was, I think, doing a good job on commentary, on being a panel and being on commentary. And Booker T was, I thought, doing a solid job on the panel. Renee Young was really starting to come into a own as a host, so I thought that was good. So let me talk about the build up to one of the matches because it actually revolves around the first segment of this show. So we had the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Yes, this was the first time ever they were going to do a tag team Elimination Chamber. Not like a 6-man tag team Elimination Chamber either. They were going to have a tag team one. It was just all tag teams, which I thought at the time was actually pretty interesting because I was actually interested to see what they were going to do with it. Let me kind of explain what's going on. So, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E had formed a group called The New Day. It started forming in August of 2014. It was going to be like a Nation of Domination faction, but then they decided to make it a kid-friendly one where they're all preachers and they're like in the choir, which didn't work. It wasn't. They were trying to push him as baby faces. Nobody cared for the New Day, so everyone started chanting "New Day sucks" at him. And so then eventually decided to flip the New Day heel, which was interesting. Because this actually made the New Day interesting when they flipped him heel and they actually started to give him characters and everything. And it was interesting too because this was the first time Kofi Kingston had ever worked as a heel. He had always been a babyface in the WWE, so I always thought that was interesting in that regard. And the New Day, I still wasn't a huge fan of him at this point. I still kind of didn't like him. I thought the gimmick was stereotypical and it just didn't fit the times of wrestling. But eventually they did grow on me. Obviously because I'm wearing the T-shirt right now. And I liked the New Day. And I like the New Day now, but back then I really did not care for the New Day. You can even go back on the history of this channel. I just did not like the New Day. But the New Day had defeated Cesaro and Tyson Kidd for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Tyson Kidd was somebody that really had improved in 2014 and 15. He was having great matches on NXT, and he had grown into a better performer. I always thought he was good in the ring, but I thought the mic skills he was lacking in, and I definitely think he definitely upped his game when he was in NXT. Like, that was some of the best stuff I ever seen him do. And Cesaro, obviously got diminished after he had won from a year ago. He was fighting for the world title in the Chamber. Now he's fighting for the tag titles. It was just really looking bad for Cesaro. He was getting depushed left and right, but then he finally got himself in this thrown together tag team with Tyson Kidd, which I didn't care for at the time. Not because I didn't like the concept, but it's like I didn't care for it just because Cesaro was so much more talented. I thought, he should have been in the main event, so I was just so mad that he had messed up with Cesaro. Then eventually though, the tag team worked. And they had shockingly won the WWE Tag Team titles, which I didn't expect. And they lost them to the New Day, which I hated. And Kofi Kingston and Big E had beaten them for the titles, but since technically all three members of the New Day are the champions because of the whole Freebird rule, where any two members of the stable can defend the titles, and Cesaro, they had beaten them at Extreme Rules from Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, and then they beat him in a rematch at Payback in a 2 out of 3 falls match, and they decided to throw this Elimination Chamber match together. They threw in teams, like Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, Los Matadores, which consists of Diego and Fernando with El Torito inside probably, the Ascension, which consists of Connor and Victor, the Lucha Dragons, which consist of Kalisto and Sin Cara. The Ascension and the Lucha Dragons were very new tag teams. They had just been called up from NXT earlier in the year. The Ascension, in December of 2014. The Lucha Dragons, the Raw after WrestleMania. And the Primetime Players, which consisted of Darian Young and Titus O'Neil. And what a difference a year makes. The Primetime Players weren't even a team. They were actually facing each other at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and now they're actually teaming up in the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. It's kind of interesting to see how a year makes a difference. Earlier in the year, the Primetime Players finally reunited. Titus O'Neil had saved Darian Young from an attack by the Ascension, so the Primetime Players actually finally had a reunion, and they were in this match, and the New Day didn't want to be in this match, so that was kind of not a lot of build-up behind it. Some of these teams had history, though, that were in this match, like, obviously I mentioned Tyson Kidd and Cesaro and the New Day. The Ascension and the Lucha Dragons had a history because the Lucha Dragons had defeated the Ascension for the NXT Tag Team titles, and at the time, which still holds to this day, the Ascension were the longest reigning NXT Tag Team champions. Obviously, the Primetime Players and the Ascension had a history, and that's really it. That's really all. Who else? But this match definitely was interesting to kind of think about because it was going to be interesting to see a tag team elimination chamber. Because normally we just see, just a singles elimination chamber where it's all just 6 guys in the ring, and now it's going to be with all just tag teams in the win. So I was interested in that regard. And the segment that pops up here was Corporate Kane's backstage, and the New Day come in, and the New Day had actually helped out lay out Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose on SmackDown that past Thursday, which I'll get into why later on in this video. So they want, them to do and Corporate Kane then says, that we were gonna find a way to pretty much pay it forward. We're gonna find a way to pay you guys back for doing that. So then Corporate Kane tells the New Day that all 3 competitors are gonna be allowed to compete in the Elimination Chamber match, and Xavier Woods asks if he's gonna make him a bigger pod since it's 3 guys and he's claustrophobic. And then Corporate Kane says, well, if you want, I can have you start off the match. And then Big E has to cover Xavier Woods' match. He's like, no, we're good. So overall, I thought this was a pretty good segment. It was pretty funny. And I thought, it made the New Day look like good heel characters by getting the 3 shot. And, obviously they were heel because they were aligning themselves with the Authority, who were the big heel stable at the time. So let me kind of talk about the build-up to the next match. It was the champion versus champion match. So let me it's NXT champion Kevin Owens versus United States champion John Cena. So let me kind of talk about how this match came about. So at WrestleMania 31, John Cena had won the United States championship, and he had wanted to be a fighting champion. He wanted to give everybody opportunity to fight for the United States title. That's what the title should mean. So every week he would have an open challenge for someone to come out and face him. And those open challenges were like the best stuff on the show. They were great matches. Meanwhile, as this was happening, Kevin Owens had debuted in the WWE in 2014. And he was dominating NXT. NXT was the developmental brand, which it still is to this day. And Kevin Owens was dominating everybody in NXT. He had won the NXT championship. And one week, Kevin Owens had come out, and he accepted John Cena's open challenge for the United States championship. He comes out and he talks about, but he doesn't really want to accept the open challenge. He talks about how John Cena is all lovey-dovey, but he's the NXT champion, and he says that he already has a prize and he doesn't want to face Cena for the title. And he had laid out Cena. And he says that he's going to fight on his terms, so they decided to have the match here, which kind of wish they would have waited a little bit longer to have the match, just because of the fact that it would have been so much better if the match had been built up than more than 2 weeks. What I loved about it too was Kevin Owens hold up his championship and he stomped on Cena's U.S. title. I always love that about this segment. And this was the starting of the feud between Kevin Owens and John Cena. And Kevin Owens had been talking about, how he's been wrestling for 15 years, just as long as John Cena, and everywhere he's gone, he's dominated. He said that he's hurt people that he's his friends, but imagine what he's going to do to somebody like John Cena. And John Cena talks about how Kevin Owens desecrated the U.S. title, and he says that he's going to put Kevin Owens in his place at Elimination Chamber, and then Kevin Owens had attacked him again on the go-home show of Raw, so that kind of led us to this match. And this was a match that obviously was years in the making, because Kevin Owens was running roughshod in the Indies, and John Cena was running roughshod in the WWE. So obviously it made sense, to finally have them square off. And if you think about it, when Kevin Owens had come up with that NXT title and laid out Cena, that's kind of like when NXT started to become this huge. NXT was already becoming huge, but that's when NXT kind of really got boosted up. That the NXT champion came up and laid out the face of the WWE. It was really interesting, and I always kind of think that's kind of how NXT really started off its launching point, especially to once Kevin Owens showed up in WWE, he really helped out NXT. So overall, that's the build up there, though. And then we have the build up for the singles match. It's between Neville and Bo Dallas. The reason why this match is happening is this feud goes back down to NXT. Bo Dallas and Neville feuded over the NXT Championship. Neville had beaten Bo Dallas and defeated and ended his longest reign in NXT Championship reign, and he beat him in a ladder match. And Neville ended up becoming at the time, anyways, the longest reigning NXT champion until it was later on broken early in 2016, and Bo Dallas had gone up to the main roster, and then Neville came up to the main roster, and he was really looking great. And Bo Dallas came out, and Neville kind of added salt to the wounds, mentioning that he beat him for the NXT title. So Bo Dallas had attacked him, and he cost him a match against Ken Barrett, and then he attacked him again the next week, so it led to this match. Not really a lot of storyline, but a decent program between Neville and Bo Dallas. I didn't mind it. I just don't really care for Bo Dallas as a competitor. Then we had the feud for the Divas Championship. It was between Divas Champion Nikki Bella, Paige, and Naomi. And the reason why this match was happening is because Nikki Bella had won the Divas Championship at Survivor Series, and her and Paige kind of feuded over the Divas title a little bit. Paige had turned face because she had been a heel for a while, and Nikki Bella retained her title against Paige at Fastlane. And then Nikki Bella and Paige were in a tag match at WrestleMania. And then Paige had won and Naomi, after WrestleMania, had beaten Nikki Bella in a couple of non-title matches. And they had a battle royal on Raw to determine the number one contender for the title. And Paige had won by last eliminating Naomi. However, Naomi ended up turning heel after this, beat the crap out of Paige, which was awesome because she claimed that she had pinned the Divas champion, and they had to have a battle royal to decide the number one contender. They didn't think it was fair. So then Nikki Bella turned face out of the blue because Naomi had been the heel, so somebody had to be the face. And Nikki Bella and Paige, Nikki Bella ended up defeating Paige and retaining her title at Extreme Rules. And then they continued. While Paige was off TV injured. They had the feud between Naomi and Nikki Bella, and it was Naomi had aligned herself with Tamina Snuka because they had kind of been related because she's married to one of the Usos, and Tamina Snuka is Superfly Jimmy Snuka's daughter. So and they'll have and obviously got that Samoan dynasty where the Usos and Superfly Jimmy Snuka are related somehow. So they formed an alliance, and they defeated the Bella Twins at Payback. And during a Divas title match, Naomi ended up getting disqualified, and Paige ended up coming out and making the save, but she still laid out Nikki Bella with the Rampage. And then eventually, Paige had defeated Naomi in a match on SmackDown, so this kind of led us to this match here. And they had made the announcement that nobody was allowed to be allowed to be at ringside. Brie Bella was banned, and Tamina Snuka was banned, so it was just going to be a one-on-one matchup. So not a bad feud. I actually liked the stuff they were doing with Naomi at the time. I was quite enjoying it. The stuff with Nikki Bella and Paige could do with or without. Kind of wish they would have, at the time they had brought Paige back in a stronger role. And what else today? So obviously then we have the build-up for the vacant Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber match. Mark Henry, Ken Barrett, R-Truth, Sheamus. Actually, it wasn't. So I messed up actually. I just spoiled it, but Mark Henry does join the matchup later on in the night. But it was actually R-Truth, Sheamus, Ken Barrett, Ryback, Dolph Ziggler, and Rusev. The reason why this match was happening was because Daniel Bryan had to vacate his Intercontinental Championship because of his injuries. He had just come back from an injury, and he ended up getting injured, and so he had to vacate the title. It was pretty sad actually because he had just come back, and I knew at the time when he had come back he wasn't ready to be back, but he came back anyways. So they decided to have this Elimination Chamber match to decide the next Intercontinental Champion. And, Sheamus had a little story because you could say that make the argument that he was actually the one that took out Daniel Bryan. because he had hit a wicked bro kick on him. And some people in this match had a history with each other. You know, Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler had a history because Sheamus recently had he had come back the night after WrestleMania. He turned heel. He had attacked Bryan and Ziggler, and you know he had, this is when he finally gets his new look where he gets the little bows and the little braids in his beard and the mohawk, and you know Sheamus was that new monster heel. And he had just defeated Dolph Ziggler at Payback, and then Ryback wanted to win the Intercontinental Championship. So Ryback had a reason to be in this match, but he really wasn't feuding with anybody at the time. R-Truth really had no purpose of this match. He was just kind of thrown in there. Ken Barrett had just won the King of the Ring tournament in April. And he was a former Intercontinental Champion. He had actually taken the championship from Dolph Ziggler, and this was the champion that Daniel Bryan had beaten for the title, and he had never gotten his rematch. And Rusev and Dolph Ziggler started a feud because Rusev and Lana were having issues at the time, and Lana had left Rusev and turned babyface, and Dolph Ziggler ended up going after Dolph Ziggler because she had a crush on him, and Rusev was upset and jealous about it, and Rusev wanted Lana to admit that she was wrong, but she refused, and Dolph Ziggler had come out and kissed her right in front of her because he's an asshole. However, though, and then obviously leading up to the show, the superstars had matches with each other. Rusev had squashed R-Truth. Ken Barrett had lost to Ryback, and Sheamus beat Dolph Ziggler. And then on SmackDown, R-Truth beat Ken Barrett, and then he was attacked by Sheamus afterwards. And then Ryback and Rusev were having a match, and they ended up going to a double countout, and Rusev ended up getting injured in that match. So Rusev ended up injuring his foot, so he was unable to compete. So there was going to be a mystery opponent that was going to take Rusev's spot. And that's kind of the reason behind that match. Okay storyline, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of this stuff didn't really have a great storyline, but you know. And then we have the one that's probably has the most storyline. It's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And the reason behind this match is because Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were both in the Shield together. They both came up from NXT. They were both in the Shield, and they've done everything. They had done everything together. They were in the Shield with Roman Reigns, and they had taken out all, the best superstars in the company, beat the best team ups you could beat, and they had done it all. But then finally, Seth Rollins had turned on the Shield, and he said he did it because he brought the Shield up together. He was the leader of the Shield, and he created the Shield, and he destroyed the Shield. And he had joined up with the Authority, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon and Randy Orton at the time. And Seth Rollins had and Dean Ambrose started feuding with each other in 2014. Seth Rollins had won the Money in the Bank ladder match, and Dean Ambrose was also in that match. Seth Rollins had beaten him in a lumberjack match, and Seth Rollins even took out Dean Ambrose by crushing his head through cinder blocks with a curb stomp, which he didn't have that finisher anymore. And then Seth Rollins and him had a Hell in a Cell match where Seth Rollins won, and then eventually they ended the feud off for a little bit, and then they had a match at in 2015. They revisited the feud. Seth Rollins had cashed in his Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania, and then eventually Seth Rollins had retained his belt in a Fatal 4 match that involved Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose wanted to have a one-on-one match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He wanted to get his hands on Seth Rollins, and the Authority refused. So Dean Ambrose, to get his match, interrupted Seth Rollins' celebration of winning the match and kind of going over everything that he had done. And he threatened to crush Rollins' head with a steel chair into cinder blocks. And the Authority are forced to give him his match. And so then the match was set. But then they tried to have Dean Ambrose arrested. So that way he couldn't sign the contract, which eventually he did. And has led us to this. And another thing is 2 days prior to the... This was 2 days prior to the 1 year anniversary of when the Shield had broken up. So that was kind of added to the storyline as well. So this is obviously the best storyline going on. Maybe not. I would say the Kevin Owens Cena feud was good too, but it was just starting at the time, so you can't really say that was a good storyline. So yeah. But now that I've kind of talked about that stuff, let me talk about the matches themselves. Let me continue talking about the kickoff. So we had the first match itself on the kickoff. It was Zack Ryder versus Stardust. And Zack Ryder had just come out of one of John Cena's U.S. Open challenges. So, he was kind of coming off looking strong. And Stardust was just kind of there. Stardust, if you don't know who he is, in 2014, Cody Rhodes was going on a major losing streak. And he decided to become Stardust. And, then he eventually had turned heel, and he doesn't like to hear the Cody chants. He claims that Cody Rhodes is dead and that Stardust is alive. And that Stardust is the one that's resurrected, which is weird. But this was a solid match here. This is probably a match you'd see on like SmackDown though. But it was a good pre-show match, and Stardust dominates the first half of the matchup, and then Zack Ryder makes a little bit of a comeback. Stardust goes for a suplex. Zack Ryder counters into a neckbreaker, and Zack Ryder makes a comeback, hits the broski boot. He hits the neckbreaker on the apron, and then he goes for the... then Stardust hits a clothesline. He hits a sit-down Uranagi, but Zack Ryder kicks out of it, and then eventually Ryder goes for the Rough Rider. Stardust counters and hits the... Queen's Crossbow, best known as the Crossroads, for the win, and that was it. And after the aftermath came, this was pretty much, I think, to show that they weren't going to take Zack Ryder seriously, so they decided to have him come out here and lose. So Zack Ryder continued to be pushed down to jobber status, and Stardust pretty much just fizzled away and went away to nothing, because Cody Rhodes didn't want to be Stardust anymore, and they kept, he said he was throwing the storyline ideas for him to do. They weren't listening to him, so he left the company, and now he's wrestling in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and TNA and everything like that. So, whatever. And then we had a Q&A with Lana, and Tom Phillips asked her the update of Rusev because of his injury. She says that her and Rusev don't talk anymore because of the fact that that they've broken up, and they're not. They're not happy with each other. And then she says that, what else did she say? What was the first question? Oh. I'm trying to remember what the first question was. Well, she gets asked if she feels she has a different viewpoint of America, because at the time Rusev and Lana had hated America. If she has a different viewpoint on America since the WWE Universe has embraced her, and she said that she's learned to accept other cultures and accept the way that people are, and she's trying to be better about that, not look down upon people. I don't remember what the first question was, but then she says, "Are you happy that do you feel free from Rusev?" And she says that she feels bittersweet about it. She says that she feels happy, and she also gets asked about what her feelings are with Dolph Ziggler, and she says that she loves Dolph Ziggler. They talk and they laugh together. So, yeah, that was about it. Not really, kind of a waste of time, so not really something you really needed to see. And then we had next we had a Miz TV segment with Daniel Bryan, and the Miz had just come back from filming a movie. I forget which one. I believe it was the Marine 4. And Summer Rae, who was also in that movie, introduces the Miz, and the Miz asks if anybody missed him, and they say no. And he says that he had been off filming, but then as he was watching, he watched a depressing sign. And he shows the footage of when Daniel Bryan vacated the IC title. So then Daniel Bryan comes out, and Then the Miz says, you know, that he wishes Daniel Bryan the best recovery, and he is sorry about what happened. And he says that he's sorry for himself because he trained Daniel Bryan, and he, you know, feels like that because Daniel Bryan failed, the Miz failed, and he says that he feels like that he didn't train him hard enough and everything, and he was pretty much being a dick about it. And Daniel Bryan then says, "You don't have to worry about it, Miz, because I will be back." Which is kind of depressing hearing him say this now because he ended up having to retire. And then the Miz tries to give Daniel Bryan some grooming tips, saying that you should look like a superstar. You should get tan. You should get tan. You should You should cut your hair. You should shave shave your beard. You should dress differently. You just recently because Daniel Bryan talked about how he did a book. So he said you should be out here promoting your book. You just recently did a 5-hour energy commercial. You should come out here, be drinking it constantly, wearing a T-shirt of it, because everybody will go out and buy it. But Daniel Bryan tells Miz to shut up, and he says that he's also here to present the winner of the Elimination Chamber match, the Intercontinental Championship. Then he says that Miz, I will be back. And then the Miz says, the Miz says that he's not. Normally, I would smack you around for not taking my advice, but due to doctor's orders, we can't put our hands on each other. So he says he demands an apology, but Daniel Bryan doesn't apologize, and he says that Miz TV is boring, and he knew that this was going to happen. So he made plans, and then the Mega Powers come out. If you don't know who they are, they were Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. However, this weren't the real Mega Powers. This was a parody of the Mega Powers. This was Macho Mandow and Axelmania. And Macho Mandow was played by Damian Sandow, and Axelmania was played by Curtis Axel. And this was like a weird time in their career because Damian Sandow was the former stunt double of The Miz, and he was really over. He had finally got himself over as a wrestler, but then they just kind of put him back to this gimmick, which I really wasn't a huge fan of. And then Axelmania, Curtis Axel had a really weird. He had gone on saying that he had never been eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and then somehow Axelmania came out of it. I don't even know how that happened. And then he somehow betrayed Axelmania. It was weird. And but they come out, and Miz attacks Macho Mandow, and then he has a face-off with Axelmania, and Macho Mandow attacks the Miz. He throws him into Axelmania, and he hits a big boot and the leg drop. And afterwards, the Mega Powers and Daniel Bryan celebrate together. So, overall, I thought this was actually an okay segment. And then Dean Ambrose gets interviewed, and he says that he is going to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, that this is a moment he's waited for his entire life, and he's not feeling any nerves. The thing that he's feeling in his stomach is a different kind of nerve. It's the nerve that he wants to get his hands on Seth Rollins. And then he says that I bet the Authority are planning ways to try to make sure that I don't win tonight, but I'm going to overcome those odds and prevail and win the title. And then Roman Reigns comes up. Oh, he also says that he's going to take down every member of the Authority. And then Roman Reigns comes up and asks if he got the cold ones. And Ambrose says that he hasn't done that yet. And Reigns says, don't worry, I already got it covered. And you don't need to worry about the other members of the Authority, because I'll take care of them. You just focus on Seth Rollins. And then that was it. I thought it was a good backstage segment. It was a good way to build up the title match. And then we had the main thing of this, the last thing on the kickoff. Was JBL giving us the tour of the Elimination Chamber, just kind of going through the rules and what it's all about, which I don't need to say because I've been talking about it all this whole season. And I thought JBL did okay giving the tour, but there was times where I thought he was pretty bland and he was kind of messing up his words a little bit, but whatever. Overall, the kickoff I thought was okay. I liked the backstage segment with Kane and the New Day. I liked I did like the Stardust Zack Ryder match. I did like Miz TV segment with Daniel Bryan because I always like watching the Miz and Daniel Bryan in the ring together because they had feuded since NXT in 2010, and they just every time they win the ring together, they're just gold because they're the exact opposite. Miz is like the movie star, and Daniel Bryan is like the typical wrestler, and it's so weird how good they mix together when they have a promo segment. And the Dean Ambrose interview was good, and the JBL given the tour of the Elimination Chamber was okay. Okay, so we have the actual show itself, and we had the first match on the show. It was a um, elimination chamber match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. WWE Tag Team Champions The New Day versus the Ascension versus the Lucha Dragons versus Los Matadores versus Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. I'm picking him and versus the Primetime Players. I don't know if I said them or not. And Los Matadores come out with El Torito, and El Torito was actually just stands up on top of the Los Matadores pod. I thought it was kind of goofy but weird. And it was funny too. And Natalia accompanies Tyson Kidd and Cesaro because she's Tyson Kidd's wife, and yeah, so that's about it. So the Ascension and the Lucha Dragons end up starting off the matchup, and the way this works is it's like a tornado tag team match, and then when the pods open up, it's as if it's in a regular elimination chamber match where more tag teams keep coming out, and instead of every 5 minutes a guy comes out, every 4 minutes a team comes out. I don't know why they made it 4 minutes, but I don't really think it would have made a difference either way, but whatever. And the Lucha Dragons looked really good facing off with the Ascension. And Sin Cara hits a wheelbarrow senton. The Lucha Dragons on Victor. Sin Cara dives on Connor. And the Ascension throw them both out of the ring really hard on the steel. And they throw the Lucha Dragons a couple of times to the chain link fence. And Sin Cara hits a Enziguri on Connor. And he hits a swanton, like a springboard senton onto Connor. And Kalisto tries to go up on top of the New Day's pod, but the New Day keep pulling his foot in, and he keeps getting caught. But Sin Cara ends up hitting a swanton bomb on Connor off the top of off the top of another pod, which looked really cool. And Sin Cara hits a springboard crossbody, and then eventually Kalisto tries to go off the top again, but the New Day pull him back down. And then what else happens? Next, the first team comes out, and it's Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, and they come out and go off on everybody. Tyson Kidd hits an Enziguri on Sin Cara, and he hits a springboard elbow on him. And Cesaro and Tyson Kidd attack the Ascension. Cesaro throws Victor 3 times into the chain link fence, and Tyson Kidd throws up Cesaro into an throws up Connor into an uppercut, which looked really cool. And what else happened in this match? Tyson Kidd ended up hitting a fisherman's. Actually, no, that didn't happen. Actually, and eventually Cesaro hits a superplex off the pod onto Kalisto, which looked really cool. And Tyson Kidd hits an elbow drop on him, and he tries to pin him, but Sin Cara breaks up the pinfall, and Sin Cara hits a crossbody on both guys. And then the next entrant comes in, and it's the Los Matadores, and El Torito hits a Hurricanrana from the pod on Cesaro, which I thought kind of made Cesaro look weak. and Kalisto. So most Matadores is pretty much laying everybody out. They hit backstabbers on the Ascension, and they beat the crap out of um they beat the crap out of everybody else, but we don't really get to see that stuff because it just shows Kalisto climbing the chamber, and he climbs up on the dome, and he like climbs up to the very top, and he's just kind of swinging there, and Cesaro and the Ascension kind of look up, and Cesaro has to tell Kalisto to jump, so Kalisto jump, and he takes out Cesaro and the Ascension. So I thought that spot looked okay, but it looked a little bit goofy because it looked a little bit dangerous, and it looked goofy because Cesaro told him to jump, and it looked goofy how he was swinging, and it looked like that they could have just moved out of the way. So I didn't really think it was executed the best. I think they could have planned that spot out a little bit better. And Kalisto tries to pin Cesaro, but Cesaro kicks out, and then eventually the Ascension. El Torito tries to do the same thing on the Ascension, but the Ascension catch him and throw El Torito into one of the Los Matadores members, and then they hit the Falling Man on the other Los Matadores member and eliminate him. I don't know why the Ascension got like a pretty dominant start in this match. I never really got why. And then the Lucha Dragons hit double drop kicks, one on the other on the Ascension, and they both tried to hit. Go off the top rope, but they throw Sin Cara out of the ring, and then they hit the Fallen Man on Kalisto and eliminate them. I kind of hate the fact that the Lucha Dragons got eliminated so early, and I don't, like I said, hated the fact that the Ascension got such a big role in this match, a big dominant role in this match. I get they were supposed to be the dominant team, but they're just not that good, so I don't really get why they did. So then it's just down to the Ascension and Cesaro and Tyson Kidd for the time being. And the Ascension beat the crap out of Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. Victor hits a Michinoku driver on Tyson Kidd, but Tyson Kidd kicks out of it. And then Tyson Kidd gets the sharpshooter in on Victor, but Connor attacks him. And the Ascension continue to beat the crap out of Kidd and Cesaro. Then the next team comes in. It's the Primetime Players, and they beat the crap out of the Ascension. Darren Young hits all his moves on Connor, and Titus O'Neil throws Victor 3 times into the chain link fence, and then he throws him in the ring. And then Darren Young hits the gut check on Victor, and Titus O'Neil hits a big boot on Connor, and Darren Young eliminates, pins Victor, and the Primetime Players eliminate the Ascension. So, for the time being, it's just down to the Primetime Players versus Cesaro and Kidd. And Cesaro and Kidd beat the crap out of each other for a little bit. There was a spot where Cesaro slingshotted. Actually, no, that's not what happened. Tyson Kidd ended up hitting a neck breaker on Darren Young, and then eventually just Cesaro and Kidd and the Primetime Players have a little match with themselves, and then the New Day comes out, and everybody's laid out, so they all attack. They attack everybody, and they all go to hit like a triple suplex on Darren Young, but everybody in the match just hits each member of the New Day with like a triple suplex, which looked really cool. And Cesaro and Kidd attack Xavier Woods. They throw him on the outside, throw him into the chain link fence, throw him into the pod, and they lock the pod. When they close the pod, so Xavier Woods is trapped in there. So it's now just down to like a one-on, kind of like a. Now the odds are even between Kofi and Big E and everybody else. And then Kofi Kingston tries to attack him, but Tyson Kidd slingshots him into the one-handed spine buster by Cesaro. He hits the swing on Kofi Kingston, and then he hits the drop kick on Kofi. And Tyson Kidd goes to pin Kofi. However, as he's pinning Kofi, Darren Young sneaks a roll-up in on Cesaro, who's all dizzy after the swing. And he rolls him up and gets him. So the Primetime Players eliminated Cesaro and Kidd, which I thought was actually a nice surprise because the primetime players really weren't being pushed here. So I like the fact that they got this spot. And, you know, it was a nice surprise victory. And so then it's just down to the primetime players versus the New Day. And I like the way that Cesaro and Kid got eliminated. Where Kid was making the pinfall too, so I liked that. And the Big E gets Xavier Woods out of the pod, and the New Day just beat the crap out of the primetime players for a long ass time. They end up choking Titus O'Neil into one of the chain link fence, and they just beat the crap out of him there. And Xavier Woods clotheslines Darren Young, and he ends up hitting hip first onto the steel floor. And then eventually, Darren Young, they're going to hit the Midnight Hour, which it wasn't called that then, but on Darren Young. But Darren Young fights out of it, hits a clothesline on Big E outside the ring, and knocks everybody else off the turnbuckles. And Titus O'Neil hits a big boot on Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston tries to hit the Trouble in Paradise on O'Neil, but O'Neil catches him, bounces him twice off the chain link fence, throws him into the ring, and then eventually Darren Young hits the gut check on Kofi Kingston. However, Kofi Kingston's able to kick out of it, so the match continues, and then eventually the numbers game catch up to the primetime players, and Kofi Kingston hits the Trouble in Paradise on Titus O'Neil, and every member of New Day pretty much pins Titus O'Neil for the win, and the New Day walks out and retains the WWE Tag Team titles. I actually didn't mind this even at the time, actually. I thought it made sense for the New Day to retain. They had an extra guy in the match. They came in last. It really would have been kind of overpowered if the primetime players had won. And there was really no need to crown new champions at the time, so I was fine with it. And I thought this match was really good. It was sloppy at times. Obviously, you know, the stuff with the Ascension looking strong I didn't care for. Kalisto's weird spot where he dived on everyone from the top of the dome was weird. You know, what else was weird in this match? El Torito. I just really care for El Torito hitting the Hurricane on Cesaro because that kind of made Cesaro look weak. And obviously, you know, this El Torito being there at all, and Los Matadores being in the match at all, I just didn't care for because I didn't really care for Los Matadores at the time. And but the stuff I liked in this match was the stuff all the high spots the Lucha Dragons did. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro looked really good in this match. And the build-up of the primetime players, you know, that they got. They eliminated two teams in this match, the Ascension and Cesaro and Kidd. And they were really starting to build out the primetime players as a legitimate tag team, so I liked that. And this kind of set up, you know, that feud between the New Day and the primetime players, so I liked that. And eventually, this match, let's talk about the aftermath of this match. So obviously this match led to a... let me just kind of say where everybody is nowadays. So, let me think. So, Cesaro and Kidd, I don't know, this was, I believe this was Tyson Kidd's last match on television. I don't think we saw him have a match because he ended up getting a neck injury, and this could have been his last match ever. I'm actually going to look that up right now and see if it was. But yeah, this ended up... Because so Cesaro and Kidd didn't really last too long as a tag team after this. Cesaro went singles afterwards. Then what else? I'm just trying... the Ascension pretty much are in the same spot that they were kind of in this match, where they're pretty much a jobber tag team. They actually have a tag team title match tonight. Who else was in this match? The Lucha Dragons went on to have a couple of more WWE Tag Team title matches. They would have a Fatal 4-Way match at SummerSlam. And then eventually they had a great triple threat ladder match where Kalisto had the OMG moment of the year. What else? Eventually, though, Sin Cara ended up getting injured. So Kalisto went singles for a few weeks. Won the U.S. title twice. and then the Sin Cara came back, and then they ended up breaking up as a tag team, and now that they had the brand split, Kalisto's on SmackDown and Sin Cara's on Raw, and Kalisto occasionally wrestles on SmackDown. He's kind of being jobbed out right now by Dolph Ziggler, and Sin Cara, I don't even remember the last time he's even had a match. I actually forgot he even existed before I saw this match. I believe he's still signed to the company, but I don't have no clue what he's doing. And then, but yeah, so this also, the primetime players, this would, push their feud with the New Day, and they would go on to defeat them at Money in the Bank for the WWE Tag Team titles. They would beat them in the rematch at Battleground, and then at SummerSlam, the primetime players defended the tag titles in a four-way match against Los Matadores, the Lucha Dragons, and New Day members Kofi Kingston and Big E, and the New Day would win the tag titles. And after that, the New Day held the WWE Tag Team titles. I don't know exactly for how long, but for a long time. And but yeah, he held it for they hold it for a long time. They now have the longest reigning tag team champions in company's history. And then coincidentally enough, who was the one that ended up beating those longest reigning tag team champions was actually Cesaro and Sheamus. So Cesaro technically, hold the tag team titles afterward, and ended up beating the New Day and kind of validated himself. So I always found that kind of cool. And the New Day just kept getting harder and harder. They ended up getting their own cereal box. They got their own T-shirts. They became really popular. Around this time, they were starting to become really popular, and they're still around today. The Ascension's still around today. The Lucha Dragons is not. Los Matadores actually is around today, but they're a different gimmick now. And Kid and Cesaro. So I actually have Tyson Kidd's thin up. So it says how he says he was injured on June 7th, 2015. And it says that he ended up getting a severe neck/spinal injury. And several weeks later, Kidd announced that he would be out of action for over a year. So it's now 2017. Kidd tweeted that only 5% of people survive his injury, and he had 16 staples, 4 screws, and a rod inserted in his neck. Discussing the injury, journalist Dave Meltzer said it's unbelievable that Tyson Kidd came through as well as he did, and noted that most people who survive the injury end up quadriplegic, which means paralyzed caused by illness or injury that results in the partial or total loss of use of all 4 limbs and torso. So, comparing to Christopher Reeves' injury. So pretty much, I don't know if we're probably not gonna see, actually too, it says, actually just kind of, Kidd and his tag team partner, Cesaro, have revealed, that although they were originally teamed by WWE, without their input, they clicked personally and subsequently became very close real-life friends. So that's very interesting to see. And Tyson, so yeah, so that just proves sometimes teams can work. But yeah, so Tyson Kidd, I don't even know. Well, I don't think he ever is gonna wrestle again, just because, it's a pretty bad neck injury. I'm trying to think of what else though, for aftermath wise. I guess that's about it. So I'm just gonna continue on going on with the show. Okay, so next it shows a video package of Dolph Ziggler cashing in the Money in the Bank contract. When he had cashed it in, he had won the match at Money in the Bank 2012, and then 9 months later he would cash it in and beat Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. And they announced that he was going to be a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match at Money in the Bank 2015. So, yeah, I mean, it was good at the time. It's just kind of one of those things that you look back at it now, you could probably skip it. Okay, so next, Dolph Ziggler and Lana are backstage, and Lana asks him if he's ready, and Dolph Ziggler says he's ready to go out there and do what he does better than anyone in this business. He says he wants the Intercontinental Championship more than anything. And he says it's a shame that Rusev isn't in this match because he wanted to be the one to pin him first. And Lana says tonight's not about Rusev or making him jealous. Tonight's about you. And then he says he's going to go do what he does best. And then afterwards, we'll be focusing on us. So it was an okay back. It was a pretty. Actually, I thought it was a pretty lame backstage segment. I didn't really care for the fact that they were trying to have Lana and Rusev kind of feud with each other. It led to that lame ass feud with Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. So, yeah. Okay, so next match was a Divas Championship match. Divas champion Nikki Bella versus Naomi versus Paige. This match was alright. To be honest with you, it was in a dead spot on the show, and it was in a spot where no one cared about it, and it didn't get the time it deserved. So it wasn't really their fault that it didn't turn out as the way it should have. It just kind of felt like everyone was just trying to get their stuff in. There was some mess ups in this match, but Naomi tries to kick Paige in the face, but Paige blocks it, and Naomi and Nikki Bella knocks her out with a forearm, and then Paige and Nikki Bella have some chain wrestling, and Naomi pulls Nikki Bella out of the ring, throws her like right into the announcer's table, and then Naomi and Paige wrestle. Naomi kicks Paige in the head. She goes for a crossbody. Paige moves out of the way, covers Naomi. Naomi kicks out, and then Paige beats the crap out of Naomi. She kicks her in the face, and then Nikki Bella tries to get back to the ring. Paige kicks her in the face, and some more stuff happens. I really don't remember what else happened. And there was one spot where Naomi was up on the Nikki Bella and Naomi were fighting, and Nikki Bella goes for the disaster kick off the turnbuckle, and Naomi moves, and Paige, and I guess she just misses. I don't know if she was supposed to hit Paige or not. It was a weird spot, and then Nikki Bella tries to get Paige up for the rack attack. Naomi hits her with the rear view, and she goes to cover up, but Paige breaks up the pinfall, and then Paige goes to put her in the PTO, which stands for the Paige tap out, but Naomi comes up and kicks her in the ear, and then eventually Naomi goes for an enziguri. Nikki Bella ducks it, and then Nikki Bella hits the rack attack for the win and retains the Divas Championship. I don't think Nikki Bella did one move in this match, really. I think Paige and Naomi did all the wrestling in the match. I'm not trashing her. I'm just saying that was kind of pathetic. And afterwards, Brie Bella comes out, and the Bella twins celebrate together. And the aftermath of this was this led to the feud between Nikki Bella and Paige. Nikki Bella would defeat her at Money in the Bank, and then Nikki Bella would go on to become the longest reigning Divas champion in WWE history. And Paige is no longer, I guess she's technically still with the company, but she's not in a mental state. She doesn't want to be there. She's failed two drug tests. Well, she's failed the wellness policy test twice, and Paige just does not look healthy. She looks really skinny, so it's pretty sad. And Naomi's still in the company, but she's kind of in the same spot that she was, but now she's turned babyface. So the only one that's really benefited is Nikki Bella, because she became the longest reigning Divas champion of all time. And I guess you could say Paige, but because you could say the reason that Paige didn't benefit now is somewhat their fault and somewhat her fault. Okay, so next we had a champion versus champion match. Kevin Owens versus John Cena. And this match, even watching it back now, is a fantastic match. It was a matchup people had wanted for years, and it's a matchup that we ended up getting. the face pretty much of the indie wrestling scene versus the face of the WWE. Couldn't ask for anything better than that. Um, and The match starts off with Cena and Owens doing chain wrestling to each other, and Owens dominates him with a couple of right hands, and then Cena hits a bulldog coming out of the corner, and then eventually Owens clotheslines Cena, and Owens dominates Cena for a while. He hits a bunch of right hands, and he starts talking crap to Cena, and Cena tries to hit him with the AA, but Owens counters into a DDT, covers him. Cena kicks out, and Owens gets a little bit. Cena goes for his 5 moves of doom. Owens counters the second shoulder tackle into a tilt-a-whirl Celtic cross, and Cena ends up kicking out of that. And Owens starts getting too cocky, and Cena tries to beat him with the roll-up, but Owens kicks out, and Owens hits a wicked clothesline on Cena. And then eventually Cena hits his 5 moves of doom on Owens. He goes for the AA. Owens counters, and he hits a pump-up powerbomb. Cena kicks out, and then they just go at each other. Owens tries to go for a moonsault. Cena moves out of the way, and Cena hits a. I'm just gonna talk about each spot, and if I go out of order, I don't care. Cena hits a tornado DDT. Owens kicks out. Owens hits a acting like he's gonna go for the package power driver, but instead he just throws Cena. Cena kicks out. Cena hits the springboard stunner. Owens kicks out. Owens hits the reverse superplex and then a swanton bomb. Cena kicks out. Cena hits the AA. Owens kicks out. Cena hits the leg drop. Owens kicks out, and they both just keep going back and forth. Owens eventually hits a super kick on Cena, and eventually Cena hits 2 clotheslines on Owens, and he tries to go for the AA. Owens counters into the pump-up powerbomb, covers him, and gets the victory, and Kevin Owens is victorious. He ends up standing over as the Superior Champion, and this was kind of at the moment right here when NXT really became huge, because the NXT Champion came into the main WWE roster and defeated the face that runs the place, John Cena. That was huge. Like, Kevin Owens defeated John Cena clean in his first match on the main roster. That's you can't get any bigger than that for a debut. And then afterwards, Kevin Owens gets on the mic, and he says that I said on Raw that if anybody didn't know who I was, then you don't matter to me. Well, after that match, you should know who I am. Then he says that he's going to give John Cena veteran advice. He says that you should just go away because your time is way up and my time is now. And he says the champ is here. And that was it. I thought Owens was great there. And this match was a fantastic matchup. And, Owens even said that he ended up finishing a fight with John Cena. Kevin Owens walks out. And I liked, I liked this match. I still like it now. I don't like it maybe as much now because I liked it more then because I was more, not necessarily surprised, but let me just kind of, because of what happened with the Aftermath, makes me kind of like this match as much. The aftermath was Owens and Cena would face off at Money in the Bank. Cena would win the rematch, which shouldn't have happened. And then afterwards, Owens powerbombed him on the apron and tried to end Cena's career. And then Owens lost the NXT Championship, so he tried to go after Cena's United States title. And at Battleground, Cena made Owens tap out with the STF, which he actually hits in this match. Owens actually had hit going for the 5-knuckle shuttle, and Cena got him into the STF. That was a cool spot in this match too, by the way. But yeah, Cena had beaten him with the STF, made him tap to a move that Owens did 10 times better. And then Owens I wouldn't really say Owens necessarily got buried. It definitely didn't help that he lost 2 straight times to Cena. But he was stuck in the mid card for a while, and he recently, not until August 2016, he was able to kind of fully become that main event star, because that's where he kind of is at now. So that it kind of sucked for Owens. And then Cena would go on to lose the U.S. title to Seth Rollins, and Then he'd win it back. Then he would lose the title again, and then he'd be gone pretty much up till around the Memorial Day of 2016. So they both benefited pretty good from this match. I just kind of wish the feud should have ended with Owens winning the United States Championship from Cena, because that would have really pushed Owens into superstardom, but it just didn't happen. He was kind of like, in a sense, another victory of the John Cena problem. But this match, I'm still not going to take anything away from it. And at least I could say that Owens came into the company his first night and, beat John Cena clean. Not a lot of people can say that they did that. So it's good. I think it's great, and I think it's fantastic in that aspect. It's because of the finish. I didn't see it coming at all. Owens winning, I could have saw it coming, but the beating him just fair and square clean, I didn't see that coming at all at the time. So I was surprised at the time. I still think the match is fantastic though. Owens and Cena always had great in-ring chemistry, and this is when in 2015, I would say even maybe in 2014 and 16, Cena really upped this game when it came to his work in the ring, and I thought it was great. So overall, I thought that, fantastic. Okay, so next, it cuts to the panel, and they give their thoughts about the pay-per-view so far. They talk about what happened when Owens beat Cena and how Byron Saxton was shocked about it, and Corey Graves says that everybody was shocked except for Kevin Owens. He knew he was going to come in there. And then they give their predictions for the title match, and then Booker T talks about the Elimination Chamber match for the vacant IC title. So I thought it was okay. Okay, so next match was Neville versus Bo Dallas. And this match wasn't bad or anything, but the problem with it was the commentary. The commentary has been really weird on this show. I actually didn't even mention it, but during this tag team elimination chamber match, Jerry the King Lawler accidentally called JBL JO, which was hilarious, and they've been giving him crap about it all night. And in this match, they have like a separate conversation from this match, asking about a sports game. And Jerry the King Lawler even messes up one of the names of the sports teams. It was bad in that regard. Plus, they also got the dead spot on the show, because I think no matter what match went on here, whether it was the chamber match or the title match, it was gonna get that dead spot after Owens versus Cena. So you kind of had to put that in regard too. So this just got the dead spot, and this really wasn't a pay-per-view quality match either. This was, I would say, maybe like a SmackDown quality match. So, but Neville dominates the first half of the matchup. He hits a moonsault on the outside. He beats the crap out of Bo Dallas. Actually, that's not. And I forgot to mention too, Bo Dallas cuts a promo before the match and says that he tried to help Neville. He tried to pick up his broken win, and he tried to help him fly. But he said that you chose not to accept my help, and he says that all you fans chose not to accept my help, but at some point everybody needs help. And he says that now he's going to force Neville to believe. So, yeah, but back to the match. So Neville hits the moonsault. Bo Dallas begs for mercy, saying that he's just trying to help him. And then Neville just lays away at him with kicks, and he kicks him right in the back of the head. Well, he goes to kick him in the back of the head. Bo Dallas ducks, hits a roll-up, and sends Neville crashing in on the outside. And Bo Dallas dominates the matchup for a little bit. But then Neville has a hot tag. Neville, Bo Dallas goes to throw Neville into the turnbuckle, but Neville counters, and he sends Bo Dallas head first to the second turnbuckle, and then he makes his comeback. And then eventually Bo Dallas tries to go for the running Bodog in the corner, but Neville counters it, hits an Insiguri and the Red Arrow for the win, and then that was it. I never really cared that much for Bo Dallas. I liked the gimmick, but I just personally don't think he's all that great in the ring, and he's not really that great. He's okay on the mic, but not great. But the match was okay. The aftermath came. Bo Dallas is pretty much a jobber now. I don't even think he's ever on Raw. I don't even. He might have gotten released. And Neville, uh, what a difference 2 years makes for Neville. A little, I guess, a little over a year now. Neville was this big babyface high flyer, and now he's this aggressive heel who just destroys people in the cruiserweight division. It's kind of a different take on Neville. So no one really benefited short term wise from this though, because I believe after this, we really didn't see much of any of these guys. So what was the point? What point? Well, Neville went on to be in the Money in the Bank match, but then and have a match at SummerSlam, and then after SummerSlam, he just kind of fizzled away. So really, Neville did nothing. No one really benefited short term wise. So okay, so next, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns are backstage, and Triple H comes up and he's like, "Oh, what a night!" So he says that he heard earlier that Roman Reigns um, planned to be in Dean Ambrose's corner for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, and he says that Roman Reigns doesn't really have the authority to be out there because Corporate Kane could be out there because he's out there in an authoritative capacity, and if Roman Reigns was out there, he would just be a disruption and a distraction or something like that. Um, so he says he doesn't want that to happen in the title match. So he tells Roman Reigns that if he gets involved um, in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, Dean Ambrose is going to be disqualified. Um, so what if he hit Seth Rollins? Does that mean? Well, no. What if he hit Dean Ambrose? Does that mean? Uh, no, actually, yeah. What if he hit Seth Rollins? Actually, because Seth Rollins. Does that mean? Actually, no. What if he hit Dean Ambrose? Sorry, I confused myself. What if he hit Dean Ambrose? Like, what if he just came up and speared Dean Ambrose? Because technically Dean Ambrose would win by DQ, but would Dean Ambrose still be disqualified? But anyhow, that doesn't happen. But I just thought of that now. But anyhow, Triple H is like, you hear me? And he's like loud and clear. And Triple H is like, good. And he's like, and then he says, I have a good feeling about tonight. And then he walks off, and then Dean Ambrose is like, me too. It's pretty much as if you know about this at the time. Triple H and Seth Rollins, like I had been mentioning, were in cahoots, and they wanted to make sure that Dean Ambrose had no chance of winning that title. So taking away Roman Reigns does just that because he was coming out there to even out the odds with J&J Security and Corporate Kane, and that didn't happen. Now that well, now it's not going to be able to happen since you know Roman Reigns is pretty much banned from ringside. Okay, so next was the Elimination Chamber match for the vacant Intercontinental Championship. It was Ryback, Sheamus, R-Truth, Dolph Ziggler. So Ryback, Sheamus, R-Truth, Dolph Ziggler, Ken Barrett, and the mystery guy taking Rusev's spot. And I said it earlier in the video, it ended up being Mark Henry. I was actually kind of disappointed because I expected it to be like somebody returning or something. But I guess it made sense for it to be Mark Henry in a sense. They probably didn't have a lot of people to go with, so they just went with Mark Henry, and they were in Texas, so he probably got a decent pop. And this match sucked, and I'll get to that more. But Dolph Ziggler and Ken Barrett start off the matchup, and Ziggler hits a drop kick on him. Barrett kicks out, and he takes control of the matchup for a little bit, but then Barrett beats the crap out of Ziggler. He throws him shoulder first into the steel post. He hits a wicked clothesline on him. He hits a Windsor chains on him. He throws him head first into the chain link fence, and then head first into one of the pods. And then he puts him back in, and then he goes back in the ring. And also this was every 4 minutes a guy came out. And the next guy that comes out is R-Truth. But Barrett immediately attacks him in this pod, beats the crap out of him, and throws him in the ring, and he just dominates the matchup, really. And R-Truth makes a little bit of a comeback, but then Barrett hits the Windsor chains on him. And Ziggler and Barrett tries to pin him, but Truth kicks out. Ziggler tries to beat him off a roll-up. Barrett kicks out. And then Barrett beats him up, Ziggler some more. Barrett throws Ziggler out of the ring. And, yeah, the match, was just like okay stuff. It wasn't really anything special. And then Ziggler throws no, Barrett throws Ziggler into Mark Henry's pod, and the pod just breaks, which wasn't supposed to happen. So Mark Henry thinks he could come in, and this pisses Mark Henry off, but he doesn't know if he can. So the referee just lets him come in because he's not going to let him just stand there. And he goes off on Barrett, and pretty much this is kind of when the match went downhill. Ziggler attacks Mark Henry, and no, this is like when nobody really seemed like they knew what they were doing in this match. Ziggler and Barrett were tangling it up with each other, and Mark Henry was just standing there doing nothing. Ziggler had tried to pin Barrett to eliminate him, and Mark Henry was breaking up the pinfall for some reason. Eventually, Ziggler hits a super kick on him. Mark Henry hits a headbutt on Barrett, by the way, and R-Truth hits the little Jimmy on Barrett and eliminates him. So it's just down to and Ryback comes out too, and he hits his moves. He hits his moves on Mark Henry, and then it's just down to like a fatal four-way between Ryback, Ziggler, Mark Henry, and R-Truth. And a lot of the match, the guys just kind of stand around and they're trying to decide what to do, and they like don't even know what they're doing. They're just standing there, and then eventually they just start attacking each other. Henry goes after R-Truth, Ryback goes after Ziggler, and then it's time for Sheamus' pod to open, and his pod doesn't open, which at the time I still don't know about it now. I don't know if this was planned or not, considering what happened with Mark Henry's pod, so it was weird. So Sheamus can't get out of the pod, and Ziggler and Ryback are looking at him like, what's going on? So then people start exchanging. R-Truth tries to beat Ziggler with a roll-up. He kicks out. And then eventually Ryback, all three guys just want to work together and take out Mark Henry, so they're like, let's do it. And Ryback hits a weak-ass clothesline on him, and then eventually he just turns on the other two guys, Ziggler and Truth, and Ryback hits the shell shock and R-Truth and eliminates him. So then it's just down to a triple threat match, and Ryback and Ziggler end up laying each other out. So then Sheamus has this high cross necklace that he keeps, and I guess it got jammed in between the pod. I'm assuming that this was planned and he put it there, and he takes it out when the guys are laid out. But it really didn't make any sense that he did that, because you would think you would want to do that when like the last guy's all beaten in battle. So that's what makes me think it wasn't planned, because why would they make Sheamus do that? But anyhow, he comes in there and he beats the crap out of everybody. Henry tries to get some offense in, but then he goes for the World's Strongest Slam. Sheamus hits the Sheamus thumbs him in the eye and hits the blow kick on him and eliminates Mark Henry. And then it's just down to Sheamus, Ryback, and Dolph Ziggler. And the match progressed a little bit, but really not much. Ziggler hit a super kick on Sheamus. Sheamus kicked out. Ryback hit a spine buster on Ziggler, kick out. And then eventually Ziggler hits the Fameasser, and Sheamus rebounds off into a blow kick, covers him and gets covers Ziggler and eliminates him. So then it's just down to Sheamus and Ryback. And Daniel Bryan too was out there because he's gonna pretend that he's gonna present the title to the winner, and Sheamus knees Ryback in the head, and then he hits the counter cross onto the steel grated on the floor, tries to cover him, but it looks like Ryback kicks out, but it really doesn't look that way to me. And then Ryback, Sheamus goes for the 10 beats of the bad one. Ryback weakly arm drags him over the ropes onto the steel grating. It really didn't look like it hurt that much. And then Sheamus hits a rolling senton. And he tries to throw Ryback through the pod or something. And then Ryback hits two power bombs into the chain link fence, and then a power bomb into the win, and then a shell shock for the win. And afterwards, Daniel Bryan presents him with the Intercontinental Championship, and then that was it. This match was just bad. Once Mark Henry's pod broke, it was just bad. Mark Henry really actually hurt this match because he kept breaking up pinfalls. He was just standing around and doing nothing. There was a point with Truth, Ryback, and Mark Henry, and Ziggler were all just going around in circles. Sheamus's pod getting stuck, and then just coming in eventually. And then the one guy I personally thought won. I personally think Ryback, deserved to hold a title. It had been 2 years. They had been building up Ryback, yes. But it really didn't make any sense that Ryback won. Sheamus should have won this match just because he was the one that had put Daniel Bryan on the shelf. What better way for him? And he had just returned from and had this big heel run. He had beaten Dolph Ziggler in a feud. This really would have put Sheamus over as a monster heel if he had won this match. And can you imagine too, the heel heat if Daniel Bryan had to hand the title over to Sheamus? And you could even have Sheamus shove Bryan afterwards, not necessarily beat the crap out of him, and then go to attack him, and then you could have Ryback and Sheamus have a face-off, and you can have them feud over the Intercontinental title. I'm not saying it'd be anything great, but Sheamus should have won this match. That's just what I personally think. Ryback had no business winning this match, and this match just sucked in general anyway. So, but if Sheamus had won, it would have made it somewhat better. And I feel bad for Ryback because, like I said, I do like Ryback, but he just didn't need to. He shouldn't have won this match. He just really shouldn't have. But this match sucked. Let me talk about where people went afterwards. So Ken Barrett. So Sheamus went on to win the Money in the Bank ladder match the next month, and then he would cash in on Roman Reigns and become the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Lose it at the night after TLC, and him, Rusev, and Ken Barrett formed a stable called the League of Nations, and that's and Ken Barrett really didn't go anywhere from this. He was just kind of there. And what else? R-Truth. Him and Ken Barrett had a little feud for battling for the King of the Ring, and Barrett won that feud. Ryback went on to defend his IC title in meaningless matches. He had a feud with The Miz for the title. Then eventually he dropped it to Kevin Owens. What else? Dolph Ziggler and Rusev had a lame-ass feud, and it eventually ended because Rusev and Lana engagement got leaked out on TMZ, so they had to end it. And Ziggler's just kind of floating around on the mid-card today. I wouldn't really say I'd say he's being used better today, but he's just still kind of floating around in the mid-card. Mark Henry's just kind of Mark Henry now. He didn't really change from this match, so nobody benefited at all from this match. If you think about it, a lot of people came out looking bad in this match. After this match. So that's what pisses me off even more. Okay, so next it hypes up Seth Rollins' Money in the Bank victory, and it shows him winning the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2014, and then at WrestleMania 31 cashing it in during the match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, and that's just probably a great moment. That's probably my second favorite Money in the Bank cash-in. That's just because even though I knew it was coming, the way he did it was unexpected, and I'm not going to talk about it too much now because I'm going to talk about it when I do my WrestleMania review series. Okay, so I got to talk about Dean Ambrose's little video that he cuts because it's awesome. So he says that there are times where a man makes a bad decision, and he says that he made a bad decision by trusting Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins made a bad decision by stabbing him in the back. And, then, it kind of goes through everything that they've done together in the Shield when they dominate him, and then it shows Rollins stabbing him in the back. And then it says that he wanted to get his revenge on Seth Rollins, and he says that normally he did it to get risen up to the top, and that's exactly what Seth Rollins did. So it shows Seth Rollins winning the Money in the Bank and winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. And then, what else? Dean Ambrose. What else, though? Dean Ambrose. It also talks about how Dean Ambrose has been determined to get his hands on Seth Rollins since then. And he says that no one's going to be able to save Seth Rollins because J&J Security, he's just going to beat them up. Him and Corporate Kane can't stand each other, and mommy and daddy can't save him, and it shows Dean Ambrose about to crush Seth Rollins' head, and that the Authority agreeing to give him his match, and then Dean Ambrose says that he's gonna take everything from Seth Rollins. He said he's gonna take his health. He said he's gonna take his pride. He said he's gonna take his manhood. He's going to take his will, and most importantly, he's gonna take his WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And that was it. I thought this was a really good video promo by Ambrose. He even cut it like as if he's like in the hall, like, and he was pacing like he was a crazy man. So I thought like he was a lunatic, and I thought it was great. Okay, so then we had the main event. It was a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins with J&J Security, which had consisted of Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury, and Corporate Kane versus Dean Ambrose. And if Roman Reigns interfered in this match, Dean Ambrose would be disqualified. I thought this was a really good match. And this isn't the best match that Rollins and Ambrose has had, which is really good considering the fact that, this match itself was really good. But, I still thought this was a really good match. At the beginning, Ambrose and Rollins start chain wrestling each other. And Dean Ambrose takes Seth Rollins and he stretches his arm back like really far, which was really cool. And eventually Rollins takes a breather and he huddles up with J&J Security to come up with a game plan. And when he leaves his huddle, Ambrose is like laying on the floor acting like he's hurt, which I thought was funny to get it so that way Rollins would come into the ring. And then they chain wrestle again. Ambrose pretty much kicks his ass. He sets him up on the ropes and he hits a punch and a chop on Rollins. And then he hits a drop kick while Rollins is in the ropes, and then a leg drop from the second turnbuckle on the back to the back of Rollins' head. Goes for the cover. Rollins kicks out, and then eventually he tries to go up on the top rope. And Joey Mercury gets up on the apron, but Dean Ambrose knocks him down, and Seth Rollins ends up getting the upper hand, and he ends up pretty much dominating Dean Ambrose for a while. He throws him into the barricade, and he ends up hitting an enziguri while Ambrose is on the turnbuckle. And J&J Security take a couple of cheap shots on Ambrose. And Seth Rollins dominates the matchup for a little bit. He hits a sling blade on Dean Ambrose. He gets him into a chin lock for a while. And he hits a wicked clothesline on Ambrose and a drop kick. And then eventually they both hit double high cross bodies on each other. And Dean Ambrose then starts to make his comeback. He hits a clothesline in the corner, and he goes for the Bulldog, but J&J Security pulls Seth Rollins out of the ring. So then Ambrose hits a suicide dive, setting himself and Rollins over the announcer's table. And then they go into the ring, and Ambrose just starts going nuts and beating the crap out of Seth Rollins. He hits a tackle and a few right hands on him. And he hits an elbow drop on Seth Rollins. Rollins kicks out. And then eventually Rollins gets the upper hand again when Ambrose tried to go for the rebound clothesline on the outside. And Rollins ended up countering into the turnbuckle powerbomb, into the barricade. And Rollins had gone for this earlier on in the match, but Ambrose was able to reverse it into a Hurricanrana. And then Rollins dominates the matchup for a little bit. He hits a high knee on Ambrose. He had gone for it earlier too, but Ambrose had ended up moving out of the way and hit a clothesline out of the ring. He hits a high knee off the top rope, and then he hits a reverse DDT on Ambrose. Covers him. Ambrose kicks out, and then Rollins hits 4 forearms right into the corner, and then he goes to do it again, but Ambrose runs behind him and hits a forearm, goes for the Bulldog, and Rollins reverses it, and Ambrose hits a tornado DDT out of the corner, covers him, Rollins kicks out, and then Ambrose hits the rebound clothesline, well, the lunatic lariat, then he hits the elbow drop, he goes for the leg drop, but Rollins moves out of the way, and he ends up hitting in the hitting another high knee, and then he hits a suicide dive on the floor, he goes for the pedigree, but Ambrose counters it, and J&J Security get on the apron, and Corporate Kane. Ambrose knocks them all down. Then Ambrose goes up on the turnbuckle, and he hits a dive-in elbow drop on the outside on all three guys, and then eventually Dean Ambrose goes to go off the top rope, and Seth Rollins pulls the official right in front of Ambrose, and he ends up taking out the official, and Rollins tried to go for the attacks Ambrose from behind, and he hits a suicide dive on him on the outside, throws him back into the ring, goes for the pedigree, and Ambrose counters, and then Rollins kicks Ambrose in the face, and he goes for the Phoenix Splash. Ambrose moves out of the way, hits the Dirty Deeds on Rollins, and he covers him. Another referee comes out, makes the count, and Dean Ambrose wins the match and becomes the brand new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. They played this out for maybe about 2 minutes. He was celebrating with the championship, but then and at the time I legitimately did think that they threw a dog course at us and actually had Dean Ambrose win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, because at the time they were trying to get network subscribers. So I thought what was going to happen was Dean Ambrose was they were going to try to a different direction and have Dean Ambrose carry the championship. But then what happens is the other referee comes to, and the two referees are talking, so they decide to reverse the decision and decide that Ambrose wins the match by disqualification. But since you can't win a title off a count out or a disqualification, Seth Rollins retains the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and Seth Rollins is all happy about it. He actually ends up having like this big smile, one of those like internet smoke smiles, which was awesome. So the referees want Ambrose to hand the title back to Rollins, but he chooses not to. But eventually, the Authority just attack Ambrose from behind, and then Roman Reigns' music hits. And since the match is over, he can come out here. J&J Security, because this is at the time when he used to come out to the crowd before the fans got too butthurt and decided to take that awesome entrance away from us. Go towards the barricade, waiting to fight Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins goes to leave through the stage, but Roman Reigns hits a Superman punch on Rollins, and he grabs the title because Rollins had gotten his title back, and he spears Kane, and Ambrose grabs the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He tosses Rollins out of the ring, and then J&J Security try to grab it back. Ambrose is able to get away from him, and Roman Reigns hits a double Superman punch on J&J Security. Then afterwards, Dean Ambrose gets on the microphone and says that he won this match, so he's leaving with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and then he walks out. And overall, I thought this match was really good, and I thought this whole main event was great just because of the finish. I like that they did the Dusty finish, where you thought that Dean Ambrose had actually won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, but then, he didn't, and they gave us a taste of it, but they didn't just do it just yet. They were telling the story with Dean Ambrose about how he would always come this close to becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and I just think it's awesome. And Seth Rollins kept his title, which I'm fine with because it makes him look like that smarmy heel who will keep his championship at any means necessary. And I thought this was a great match. And the aftermath of this is at Money in the Bank, Ambrose and Rollins would have a ladder match for the title because of this, and Rollins would retain the championship there. And then eventually, Dean Ambrose would go on to finally win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank by actually cashing in on Seth Rollins, who Seth Rollins had gotten injured, and he had just come back in Extreme Rules and attacked Roman Reigns, who was the champion. And then they did the whole thing where Reigns and Rollins had their match at Money in the Bank. Rollins won, and then Ambrose cashed in his Money in the Bank on Rollins and beat him for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And it was something. It was definitely something special. It led to, if you think about it, this one match in a sense led to finally. It was telling that story where Ambrose was going to win the WWE of Ambrose chasing after the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, as well as Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins always getting away with the title. And obviously Rollins got hurt, so who knows what would have happened. But Ambrose finally got his revenge on Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank 2016, and it was definitely something special. So yeah, I thought the aftermath came out great, and I thought this was just a great match. So overall, I thought the show was actually really good. It's not as good as when I first saw it, but I definitely still think it's worth watching. I like the WWE Tag Team Championship Elimination Chamber match, even though there's some goofy stuff in there that I don't care for, but I still think it's a good match. The Divas title match isn't bad. It's just a waste of time, kind of. Actually, I don't really like the Divas title match all that much. The Cena Owens match is fantastic. Bo Dallas versus Neville was okay. The IC title Elimination Chamber match sucks. And, the kickoff I thought was good too, actually. I always forget to mention the kickoff. And I liked the main event. So overall, I thought this was a really good show. The only things I can think of that are bad is, it didn't have a good undercard, but the main matches, delivered. The champion versus champion match, the main event, one of the chamber match I thought delivered, and the kickoff I thought was good, and overall I thought the show just structured really well, so overall I thought this was a really good show. So this is it. I'm finally done reviewing all the Elimination Chamber pay-per-views themselves. I didn't think it was actually going to take this long, where Elimination Chamber 2017 already happened, and I'm already, I'm just finishing 2015 Elimination Chamber. I didn't mean for it to take that long. I just got busy with schoolwork and other things like that. But I have 2 more episodes I'm going to make for this season, and then I'm going to move on to the next season. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the series of me reviewing the pay-per-views, and now I'm going to do 2 more episodes, and then I'll be all done.